Have you ever thought that if you could just be more consistent in your business, you would get dramatically better results, but you really, really struggle with being consistent day to day, week to week, and month to month? Well, you're not alone. So many people feel exactly the way you do. And in this week's episode, we're going to talk about some super simple, actionable ways that you can become more consistent than ever in building your business, even if you don't have a lot of time to spend and you've never been consistent in the past. So let's do this. Welcome to the Impactful Entrepreneur Show with Adrienne Hill, a place for online business industry expertise and thought leadership, where you can build the skills, structure, and systems you need to thrive in business and have a lasting impact in your industry. Let's do this. Today, I'm super excited because we are here with Simon Chan. He is a consistency coach and a speaker who helps network marketers earn part-time income of at least $1,000 a month by getting them to be consistent and defeat overwhelm. He's best known as the host of the MLM Nation podcast, of course, and the #1 network marketing podcast that features in-depth interviews with over 500 top income earners. Now, he started in network marketing in 2003 and built a $1 million business with over 200,000 distributors by pioneering online duplication. He retired from building in 2013 so he could be a full-time trainer, and he founded MLM Nation. So we are so blessed to have him here with us today. You guys, it doesn't get any better than this. And we are going to be digging into the topic of setting up social media routines and figuring out a really smart daily method of operations so that you can be more consistent on social media. So thank you, Simon, for joining us today. I'm so excited to bring your wisdom to this audience.
Well, thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be able to serve and share today. Thank you, Adrienne.
Yeah, wonderful. So for anyone in the audience who maybe has not had the pleasure of meeting you or following you on social media yet, could you tell us just a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey and how you evolved to the point of starting MLM Nation and becoming this motivational inspiration piece to so many people?
Yeah, I basically grew up in very, stereotypical Asian parents where study, go hard, work hard in school. I was blessed to be born in upper middle class family. My dad was basically rags to riches, born in Hong Kong in the ghetto, and then became a doctor. So I always grew up with, at one point we had 3 Mercedes, a big mansion growing up in Brooklyn, New York. I always say Brooklyn, New York, people think it's the hood, but we grew up in a nice part of Brooklyn. But I never had time with my dad, okay? And I always wanted to go to Yankee games, Knick games. After a certain age, he was always busy at the hospital, at the nursing home, at the clinic. But I just listened to my parents. I didn't want to get in trouble. I want to get my allowance, just study hard, work hard. So, and eventually going to take over my dad's practice, right? So anyway, I didn't want to be a doctor. I'm just working at a job, and I loved the job. I actually worked at the NBA, the National Basketball Association. So it was a cool job. Yeah, it was a cool job, but it didn't pay. Here's the cool thing: since it's such a cool job, they can get any sports fan off the street and work for them. So the salary is not that good. Like supply and demand, right? The demand is huge, so the money, you don't need to pay much. So I was basically, I was like, God, this is awesome. And I always saw myself as, I'm going to work there for 30, 40 years, climb the corporate ladder. And by the way, I'm so grateful for my bosses, everyone there who taught me so much. Some of my first mentors were at the NBA that taught me to be a professional. And it was just work 30, 40 years, get a corner office, the head of the NBA China or something. And then I read a book that changed my life. And I used to wake up at 5:30, go for my 30-minute run, and then get on the freeway by 6:15 to beat traffic, to get to work. And because if you left to work earlier, it'll take 2 hours to get there. If you leave at 6:15, I'll get to work at 7 a.m. Right? And I'll eat breakfast there, and I'll stay there till 7 p.m. But I love my job. I was like, that's the life. I'm going to do this for 30, 40 years. And then I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I was like, oh, wow, there's this thing called passive income. This is a thing that you actually don't need to work like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I like my job, but getting up at 5:30 a.m. is not very fun, right? Like, I can do that. That totally changed my world. And from there, I looked at different opportunities, franchises. I just didn't have the money to start a franchise. I didn't have any skills. And I found out network marketing. I thought it was very skeptical. And at the same time, at that time, in 2003, I read Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. God's a big part of me. I felt that God wanted me to do network marketing. That's like the reason why even though I was a shy, quiet Asian kid from Brooklyn, New York, I always enjoyed coaching and helping. Even at my church, I was leading a youth fellowship. I used to coach at the YMCA in Chinatown in New York, basketball clinics to help kids off the street. I always enjoy coaching and mentoring. And direct selling, network marketing is really not a sales business, but coaching and mentoring business. So
Yeah.
after much thought, and I got started in 2003. I would love to say I was an instant success, but I struggled for months and months and months. Especially, I lived in Los Angeles. Most of my friends were in New York. This is way before Zoom and all these webinars. I didn't have many friends. Wasn't consistent and just struggled for months and months. But that eventually was always a blessing. I found a mentor that taught me how to be consistent. That was my turning point. He came there and basically grilled me, held me accountable, and every single day made me do what I needed to do. And from there, I started online marketing because since I was shy, I'm not very good at meeting people. I said, hey, I'm going to go meet some strangers. And we started doing online marketing way back using Yahoo Overture, at Google AdSense, prospecting ICQ forums, all AOL Instant Messenger, MSN Messenger. That's how we used to Yahoo Messenger. We used to communicate with our team. But anyway, that's how I got started. But really, I was struggling. The turning point was when someone helped me to stay consistent. And once I started getting consistent, I started getting results.
Well, and that is so fascinating that it was the Purpose-Driven Life and Rich Dad Poor Dad that turned things around for you. I've also read those books, and it's fascinating because, whether you're talking about your spiritual side or whether you're talking about learning about passive income, I think both are these topics where once you see, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
Once you understand how passive income works, you don't really want to go back to trading time for money, right? And of course, that's why everyone's here, right? That's why you guys are here.
Absolutely. And when I read Purpose-Driven Life, I realized I did the whole 40 chapters and stuff, 40 days. I realized God's purpose for me is to have a positive impact as many lives as possible. Mm-hmm. So it's not just about me, it's about helping others. And I felt like network marketing was the vehicle for someone in my background to be able to do that. So basically, once I did that, I became consistent, started getting a little bit of results. I ended up earning over $1 million. I was a $1 million club member of my company. And then in 2000, built, like you said, a huge team of 200,000 people. And then in 2013, I just had a different change in purpose. I felt that my company was awesome to drop in the bucket. If I really want to make positive impact as many lives as possible, there's so many other people in the direct selling profession that I could impact. So I became a generic coach in April of 2013.
Wow. So basically, by letting your light shine, it enables other people to be their best selves and let their light shine as well. And it was the knowledge that was your purpose, paired with the consistency that you learned that really got you where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fascinating. And so, of course, you're the perfect person to be talking to about consistency. So I love this. It all comes full circle. I love your topic because I think the number one concern and the number one struggle that I hear people talk about is being consistent because, social media is like the beast that no matter how many times you feed it, it needs more, more, more. So what kind of advice can you give to, the struggling entrepreneur they know their number one weakness is that they're just not consistent enough and they're looking for some way to systematize things or come up with some sort of regular routine?
Well, most people, though, say they struggle with consistency. But the reality is we're all consistent in some parts of our life, right? So I always joke with my coaching clients that, hey, I know you're consistent. They say, oh, I'm not consistent. No, I know you're consistent because I'm sure you took a bath this morning or this evening. You took a bath yesterday. You're consistent with that. You're consistent with brushing your teeth. You're consistent with making dinner, right? So we are consistent in certain parts of our lives. So I'm going to break down 7 things that will, if you implement these, you'll be consistent. And we're going to take just like taking a shower every day, right? Whether you're taking a bath or a shower. One of the things is, it is generally it's a non-negotiable. It's like a checklist, right? If you want to be consistent, you have to have a checklist of what to do. For network marketers, we call it the DMO, Daily Method of Operation. And I think this is something that people who are new entrepreneurs struggle with. I know I definitely struggled. And, when I got started in network marketing, that was my first step in being an entrepreneur. I struggled for months because I was born and raised with a school mentality and a job mentality, employee mindset, right? Which is, if my teacher told me to do it, I'll do everything. If the teacher gave me extra credit, hey, I'll do that too. But I never took the extra step to, hey, I'm going to do this, right? And my boss told me to do something, I'll do an awesome job. But I would never go above and beyond or think outside the box to do something. And when you get started being an entrepreneur, you realize often you don't have a boss. No one's going to fire you. So I need a structure and a routine. That's why having a checklist kind of guides you on what you need to do. We talk about whether you're in affiliate marketing, a coach in network marketing, we love to be our own boss, right? That's why we chose this career, this profession. But we also have to be our own employee. And often a boss you will fire the employee you, right? I want to be my own boss, but I wasn't doing it. So in every business, there's a certain type of things you have to do, and that's the checklist. And social media, putting is on the checklist is not something you have to, when I have time, I can do it. It's something you must do. And I think all the other speakers have talked about that. So first thing is a checklist of what you have to do. And that's the first component. Like if you want to take a shower, there's a checklist. You're making coffee every morning, there's a checklist. You're brushing your teeth, there's a checklist to that too, right? Like the checklist could be turn on the water, wet my toothpaste, put the toothpaste on. There's a checklist. So you got to have a checklist of what you need to do, whether you're posting, you're doing a story, whether you're doing a reel, a TikTok, or a live video. You have to have a checklist.
Well, and I love this advice so much because I think there's a big difference between theory and reality. In theory, everyone loves the idea of working for themselves. Like, who doesn't want to be their own boss? In theory, that sounds amazing. But the reality of it is that no one's going to come and give you that checklist. When you're your own boss, you have to create the checklist yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think from attending the summit, you hear all the different speakers, you kind of have an idea what to do. And to create consistency, my advice is there's tons of great advice shared at the summit, but a mistake that a lot of people do is they try to do everything. Okay, I've made that mistake. You can see all the books in the background. I've attended numerous of online marketing conferences, pages of notes on my Evernote. And you where do you start? You do a little bit, and you end up dabbling, right? So my advice is you learn so much in the summit. Take one action step and just one and get really, really, really good at that before you do everything else. So one of the things that built even our coaching business, MLM Nation, was we focused on the podcast for a long, long time before we started doing Instagram reels and stuff. But we got really, really good at one thing. Now, could I have done a lot? Here's the reality: is we're human. We only have 24 hours a day. We have families. We have other obligations. We have errands. There's no way you can implement so many things. So I'll give you an example. There's no way you're going to do Instagram really well, TikTok really well, get Facebook going, get LinkedIn all at the same time. It's just not happening. But what you can do is, because the checklist for each one of them could be different as well. Right? So then it gets really confusing. What am I doing? What I recommend is take one thing. So say you like Instagram. That's my personal favorite. Instagram. I want to do reels. Just get really good at reels. Focus on it and do it every single day. Create a routine for that. And then I'll tell you, in 3-6 months, you're going to get really good at it. Then you can do the next thing. Now you can do it all, but just one at a time. Right? So let me go over a couple things, and going back to taking a shower every day. One of the things you have to do for this checklist, because I know every one of you are busy. Every one of us is busy. And for every new thing you take, you got to drop one thing, because we only have 24 hours in a day. And normally, he's like, well, I can't give something up. Don't give up your family time. The easiest thing to give up is stop working with talking to poor prospects or poor clients that suck up a lot of your time. And suck up your energy as well, right? Let those go and create that time. Hey, doesn't matter I know how busy you are, you create the time to take a shower, right? You create the time to brush your teeth. You create the time to make that morning coffee if you're a coffee drinker, right? By the way, I don't drink coffee, but I drink tea. But I create the time every morning to make my gallons of green tea, right? Freshly brewed tea. I have a routine. So you got to create the time, because you're never going to have the time. You're never going to have the time. It's like, I think it's Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law that says everything fills into a vacuum, right? Aristotle talked about it. It's like, if you ever moved in a new house, everyone experiences this. You have maybe an extra spare bedroom, or like a closet. It's like such a great closet, and before you know it, this thing called entropy, that place becomes a mess. Yes. It just happens. Things become a vacuum, and then you say, well, one day I'm going to clean it. But on the weekend, I'll clean on the weekend. That weekend never comes, because all of a sudden life happens, everything, and next thing you know, it's Sunday night and you still haven't done any of that stuff, right? Because you have to create that time, intentional, block off that time. And you don't need that much time. You just need, it could be 15 minutes. And it's not
so what I'm hearing is that for the people, struggling to create that list and create that time, the issue isn't time management. The issue is prioritizing.
Absolutely.
Right? You have a habit of showering because you prioritize showering.
Absolutely.
Right?
time management. I have a time management course I teach. That's like most people think time management is tools and hacks and stuff. No, it's 90% is attitude. My mentor told me that. So, for example, if it's life and death, you can do it. And my mentor said it really bluntly to me. Hey, if you don't get it done, we're taking your kids away. You're not going to see them for a week. Or we're going to hurt them. Well, you're going to make it happen. You drop everything. So it's a matter of priorities. And social media's got to be a priority. In today's age, it's got to be a priority. So here's a tip in terms of creating that time. If you're consistent, whether you're taking a shower, you're brushing your teeth, or even if you go to the exercise, I guarantee you it's around the same time every day. Right? You see that if you take a shower, some people take a shower in the morning, some people take a shower at night, or whatever it is, or take it 3 times a day, you're taking it at the consistent time. You're making the coffee, consistent time. If you eat dinner consistently, consistent time. If you exercise consistently, I'm sure it's a consistent time. When I ask people how or what time do you exercise, they say, oh, when I have time, I immediately know that person doesn't exercise consistently. Right?
Because whoever has extra time lying around, nobody does.
Sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, or when I have the time. That person is not exercising consistently. The people who exercise consistently, I go first thing in the morning. I go at 9:30 after I drop off their kids. Or I go in the evening after dinner. Those are the people who do it consistently. So in social media, here's I'm sure a lot of people ask you this question: when's the best time to post? Well, when's the best time to post? Because we're all busy. The best time to post is, and people say this in the morning because everyone's checking their phones while sitting in the toilet, right? Or in the afternoon when people check on the phones. That is true somewhat, yeah. But if you're building, and now today's age is global. You have global clients anywhere. That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. You post at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's a great time for 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Great time, but it's a terrible time in California, and it will be definitely a terrible time in Middle East, right? So it all varies. The best time to post is at a consistent time that you can do it every day. So I'll give you an example. For me, I have a routine down. I've been doing a motivational pep talk on my Instagram, my Facebook for the last over 2.5 years. It's always at 5:25 a.m. in California, my time, because I live in Los Angeles. Now, that's definitely not the best time for me. It works great for the East Coast, 8:25. People can catch me while they're driving. It doesn't work well if you're in Central. It doesn't work well with, maybe Central, but definitely doesn't work well in the mountain. Works well if you're in Asia. Definitely doesn't work well if you're in the UK. But the reason I did that, and definitely, by the way, it's not a good time because I wake up at 4:45. Okay, definitely not good for me. But the reason I do that, because it was the only time I can go consistently live 6 days a week, right?
Because you have obligations at other points in the day.
Exactly.
That are such a high priority, you don't want to disturb them. So you've chosen a time slot that doesn't disturb any other time slot, and you're protecting it.
Absolutely. And it's also about creative energies there. I get the energy, right? It's not just time management, energy management. I've tried it in the afternoon and by the way, I have to do it before the kids wake up. You have 2 kids. Once the kids wake up, this is saying, you don't have time freedom. You never have time freedom if you have kids. You do get time flexibility, but there's no such thing as time freedom. Because once they're up, I'm distracted. I can't speak. When I can do it every day. Right? In the afternoon, before the kids get home I could do it, but my energy is low. And I'm not there. So choose a time that you show and block it off. Is non-negotiable. Monday through Saturday. The other day I was at a party late at night. I still got up on Saturday morning because I know if I don't do it, and it's easy to skip once, right? Don't skip once. Don't make an exception because the exception becomes the rule. And if you skip once, it's so easy to skip again and again. But if you're just getting started, do one thing. You don't need to do, you see all these great speakers here. They're doing so much stuff. Do one thing, but do it every single day. And so I go live on something 7 days a week. 7 days a week. On Sunday, I do a spiritual talk. I don't do a business, I do a spirit. But I'm live 7 days a week because I know that's how it keeps my game sharp. I'm sharp. And it just gets the habit, a routine. And by the way, it also makes you, when you're doing something like that, increases our self-esteem and confidence. So, things always happen twice. First in the mind, and then in reality. How you see yourself is very important. If you see yourself, I know, Adrian, you see yourself as consistent. You see yourself as a go-getter. There are many days where you don't feel like doing it, but you did it anyway because you see yourself as that person, right? So you don't need to do much, but you need to do something. Now, I always share this example. If someone trying to, just say they want to get healthier, they want to go to be more fit, they go to the gym, and they go to the gym for only, you may go to the gym for 20, 30 minutes, 45, an hour. This person only goes to the gym for 5 minutes. It takes them 10 minutes to drive there, goes to 5 minutes, and by the way, this person never exercised before, but goes there for 5 minutes, has the wimpiest workout, and then goes back home. Does that help? I ask people, and some people are, that's a waste of time. It absolutely helps, because that person starts seeing themselves as a healthier person, as a more fit person, right? And eventually that 5 minutes is going to go to 6 minutes, go to 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You don't need to do a lot, but you do need to get started. And I always share this, the rule of one. And I get this from my mentor, James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits. He said, start with one. One is better than none, right? The second rule is afterwards, you add one more. So if you never exercised, right, or just say you never exercised, you couldn't do one push-up, just do one push-up. Maybe you have to do on your knees. But the next day you do 2. Then you do 3. And the third rule is once you get to a point you can't do that much, you split it into 2 times. So social media could be, I'm wasting so much time on social media. Just get 5 minutes today and get engaged with your audience. 5 minutes. Tomorrow at 6, then at 7. Then you say, well, Simon, I'm spending 15 minutes in the morning. I can't do it anymore. Then you split into 2. Do 5 minutes at night, 5 minutes in the evening. And that's how you're going to create that routine. And before you know, after 1 or 2 months, it becomes a habit.
Well, and I love this advice, and it's so encouraging. And so for those of you watching, I hope you're noticing a trend. Everything that Simon is sharing with us, whether it's writing your own list, or whether it's protecting times on your calendar or creating a routine, he's stepping into his personal leadership. He's learning to lead himself and not make excuses, but stepping into it and claiming it and owning it and holding it and not letting it slip through his fingers for any number of 100 reasons, right? He has little kids just like a lot of us. Instead of using that as a reason to not be on social media, he gets up at 5 a.m. to do it. That's personal leadership. That's amazing. Very inspiring.
Thank you. Well, the first person you got to, we're all leaders, right? It doesn't matter. You have a team of 5 people, 10 people, how many followers. We are all leaders, and don't ever accept someone's lies that you are not a leader. It doesn't matter. You have to give up the past. Yesterday's history. Today is a mystery, and tomorrow's your legacy.
Yeah.
Right? Don't let the past. You are the leader, and the first person you lead, you got to lead yourself.
Yourself. Yeah.
Be inspired that, hey, I'm going to lead myself today. I'm going to defeat. And you know what? We have to, in every one of us, we have the angel and the devil. The angel's like, you can do it. You're awesome. You're great. And then just when we're excited that you're about to do that social media post, oh, you're an imposter. You haven't achieved anything yet. You're no good. Why would people listen to you? The devil talks you out of it. So one of the ways is recognize that you put yourself in a surrounding. It's awesome that you're watching the summit. You're here. You're surrounding yourself with positivity. The second you think about something, take action on it quickly. Because if you don't take action on it quickly, the devil in you, you're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. Why are you taking a selfie? People will laugh at you. Next thing you know, you're back. You haven't done anything yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's so easy to fall into. And so, I love that. You're stepping in your personal leadership, you're claiming it. And when that voice pops up, you can say, no, I'm the type of person who does it no matter what that little voice says.
Right. And that's why the person that's going to the gym for 5 minutes, it definitely helps, because he's saying to himself, I'm the person that shows up every day. Even if it's only 5 minutes, but I'm showing up every day. And by the way, that person who's showing up every day for 5 minutes is better than the person that's going to the gym once a month for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. So for those of you watching, take that phrase, I'm the person who blank, and fill it in with something really positive and encouraging and amazing. And then every time you're trying to implement what Simon's teaching, you're going to repeat that phrase to yourself. I'm the person who implements, or I'm the person who believes in myself, or I'm the person who steps into personal leadership, right? So I love this.
Another thing that's really important is when you start out, don't do too much. You don't need to go all out. People say, I'm going to go all out and do this. But you have this, the person who wants to, I'm going to go, never goes to the gym. I always use the gym a lot because it's talked a lot in the media, right? And I work out, exercise every day, 7 days a week, right? So the person, I want to get in shape. And the person never gone to the gym, goes there, gets a trainer, and go all out, and they go for an hour and a half, and then they can't move their arms and legs for a week.
And so they quit.
It's an experience. It's a terrible experience. They quit. It's the same thing with social media. So I'm encouraging, if you're new, if you're not, just start with 5 minutes a day. Start something easy. It's like doing the one push-up. Everyone can do that, right? Just 5 minutes and slowly expand to that. If you want to do sales, just say social media recruiting, social media sales. You may not be able to spend 1 or 2 hours. It may be miserable for you to do that. You may be scary. Just do 5 minutes. Build up that courage. And that's a big mistake people go. They want to go all out. No, you can't go from 0 to hero. You got to take time to do that. Like I didn't go from being able to do live videos, every single 7 days a week. I've been in network marketing, dude. I've done over 10,000 presentations and trainings over the course of 20 years. I got to that point. But I remember my first presentation was awful. But you do it every single day, a little bit. Start with 5 minutes and slowly build that up. And then you get there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So you were taking us through, I believe you said 7 principles, right?
Yeah. So we talked about the checklist. That's one of them. Creating the time. The third thing is a strategy. How do you plan to do that? How do you plan to do this? Maybe you want to, so strategy could be, I want to just say you are a coach, right? You're a coach. A strategy could be, how do I get people to believe in me? At your next event that you do, go in, take a lot of video of you speaking on stage, speaking to people, interacting with your clients, and then you take that up and chop into reels. Put into, right? That's a strategy. Or what type of content can I give? How about, what are you sharing with your coaching clients? Take those coaching calls, get it transcribed, and look at, it's probably, if you do a 30-minute coaching call, there's at least 15, 20 topics that you can make into like a quote for social media, like an image quote, right? So that's a strategy, right? I have a certain strategy what I do in terms of my pep talks. I'll share that with you. My pep talks is basically, and I know you're going to ask me about this, it's a free book that people can download. I basically, it's a motivational quote. I read that quote, and that quote becomes my topic, my pep talk.
Yeah.
Right? And you can do that. You don't even need to do that for my book. It could be for anything. You could be taking the notes from what you're sharing for learning from the summit and take that. So you got to have a strategy on what to do. Fourth thing is environment. Environment is very important. I'm sure you experienced it where you're sitting at your desk and you have a brain fog. You just can't think of anything. Get out of the environment, right? For me, I prepare all of my trainings when I'm in the backyard. When I'm walking my dog, I recap my day. I'm thinking ideas. My best ideas is after I ride my bike, I exercise. I guess must be the endorphins, the blood. I get a lot of ideas. I immediately write them down, right? Change the environment. If you're doing sales, for me, I had to, when I was really grinding and doing tons of sales, I couldn't even get out and do any more in my apartment. I was brain dead. I would go and walk on the streets and make phone calls. But just walking, like standing up, getting fresh air, fired me up.
And the tiniest change in environment can make a huge difference. Why do you think so many people joke that they get their best ideas in the shower?
Exactly. And I still do. Over the years, one of the best business advice I ever got was never make a big decision until you take a shower.
Oh. So instead of never until you sleep on it, it's never until you're in the shower.
Right. Because, when I'm sitting here, I even though I have a great office, I'm seeing the same thing. But once you're in the shower, you're out. Like the shower and nature. I go to my backyard, I have a beautiful view there. All of a sudden, the ideas, boom, 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 pops up. I meditated as well. After my meditation, all the ideas come. So change the environment, right? Change the environment. Number 5 is tracking. Tracking your performance is very important because if you're not tracking, it's not very encouraging, right? Anything you want to be successful in, whether it's exercise, dieting, right? You want to be a good baseball player. You want to be a good whatever, right? In network marketing, you need to track your numbers. So how do you know how well you're doing? Look at the reach. Look at the insights in your social media. So you know how many people are you reaching to. Tracking, right? Number 6, a tool. A tool is using tools, a calendar. I talk about go to your calendar, and that's my favorite tool. Block it off, and it's non-negotiable. Like, hey, it's like 5:25 a.m. in the mornings when I go live. I only go live for 5 minutes. It's non-negotiable right there. Right afterwards, I post on a couple of my platforms. Non-negotiable. Block it off where doesn't matter what happens, no one can disturb. Doesn't matter what phone call, who's texting. And I get up, but I don't check any messages, text messages, emails until I get that done. Okay, so doing the pep talk, and then I do it for 30 minutes posting. Then I do a 15-minute work session with my coaching clients, my group purpose-driven networkers. I don't get into emails until like an hour and a half after I wake up. That's when
you prioritize your activities and you protect the time. You actually put it on your calendar. And I love that advice. I have a saying. I say, if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist.
Absolutely. And you can also tell how successful a person is by looking at the calendar.
Yeah.
How much sales you have? Let me see your calendar. Right. So the calendar's a tool. A timer is definitely a tool. Those are easy timers, right? Why the timer? Because you can easily waste too much time. Like you shared, the priorities. So my social media, it's got to be done in this amount of time. Mm-hmm. If it's over, and doesn't matter, I got to do it. Or I got to go. I have to post it because that prevents overthinking. One of the things I've adopted over the years when I check emails, at most 10 minutes at a time. right? 10 minutes, and that creates urgency. So it means if I don't finish it by 10 minutes, that thing would not be replied back. So I'm like rushing, and you get a lot more done that way. And timer, you can use your phone timer. I actually, I always joke. I have like a nice Apple Watch. Only use it for three things: the exercise and basically the timer. That's like in my
and the timer.
Yes.
I do the same thing, whether it's Siri or Alexa, and I'm hiding my phone because I'm worried Siri's going to hear me. But sometimes I tell, like, if I know I'm sitting down and I'm going to allow myself some time to just enjoy social media and scroll on it, I'll say, Siri, in 10 minutes, tell me to stop screwing around and get back to work. And she'll pop up and she'll tell me that. And then I start laughing. I'm like, okay, it's time to put my phone away.
That's also because we tend to overthink, and every one of us, you're an entrepreneur, we have the perfectionist inside. We want to do the best. Right? Even preparing for this training, I set a timer. Because I know if I don't set that timer, I can over-prepare and spend hours and hours and hours, days and weeks for this. So I was like, hey, Simon, I set the timer, let me get it done. Right?
Yeah.
The last tool is very important. It's accountability. Okay? Without accountability, we're human, we all fall off, I fall off. And there's different types of accountability. You can hire a coach to be accountable. You can hire a peer to be accountable. You can also have your group. If you have followers, clients, coaching members, you share something with them. It's accountable. Like for me to do the pep talk, my followers who watch that, they kind of hold me accountable too. Because they're expecting Simon shows up 6 days a week on that pep talk. And so I'm like, oh, I preach consistency. I better show up. So there'd be many, many days where I didn't get enough sleep, tired, kids or whatever, but I still showed up because I felt the group accountability was also very powerful. So
because someone's counting on you, they're expecting that they're going to hear from you, they're going to see you, then you have to report into someone. It really makes a big difference when you know someone's waiting to hear from you.
It's huge.
Yeah.
One of my big part of my success every month for the last almost 6 years now, I do a monthly call with a good friend of mine who owns a big nutritional company. And we get only 1 hour. I speak for 30 minutes. He speaks for 30 minutes. We can ask each other questions. We can vent, vent our frustrations. But we have never missed in 6 years. And every month when I come, I'm like, oh, I'm so busy. I don't want to talk to Dave. But after we talk, oh, that was the best call ever because he holds us accountable.
Right. And you both prioritize it and you both protect it and you both shelter it. If anything tries to threaten that time, I would imagine that you're both going, no, this is non-negotiable.
Because it's in the calendar, and the calendar's the boss. I'm saying, let your calendar be your boss. You may feel like that's so boring, there's no freedom, but your calendar will actually create freedom for you.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And the great thing about that, so many people, like, they don't want to do it. They kind of cringe when they hear use the calendar. You can block off family time on your calendar.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Block off vacation time, like things that it doesn't all have to be work stuff, you guys.
No, block everything off from if you look at my calendar from 5 a.m. at like 4:45 all the way to midnight. It's all blocked off with family stuff. It's bookend. And I think you have to bookend the days. Because you think about, should I be spending time with my kids or whatever, you're thinking about it. That's decision fatigue. Right. Yeah. It's the same reason why I learned it from like people like Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg. They wear the same clothes. I wear the same shirt, same clothes, same outfit all the time because you don't need to think about it. It's your calendar. You don't need to think about, if it blocked off. This is time for the kids. That's it. There's no cost. Doesn't matter what happens, what deal you give me. That time, 8 in the morning to 9 a.m. That's family time. I'm not doing.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, before I learned to master my calendar, I felt guilty about not being with my kids when I was working, and I felt guilty about working when I was with my kids. Because I was never sure when either one was going to happen. And there was this like tension. But I think you're right. The minute you start using a calendar and you protect family time and you know exactly when it's going to happen, right? And then you protect work time and you know exactly when that's going to happen, the guilt goes away.
Absolutely. And be focused. When it's family time, just be 100% present with them. They deserve you. And when you're in your business, be focused on your business. And like you said, the guilt goes away and you can be a much better parent, much better spouse, and you can be much better in your business because you're not thinking, what this is blocked off. And you know what? It'll make you more productive too because you know that, hey, once family time's up, I'm not allowed to work. I have to go do this stuff. So it'll make you having that sense of urgency.
I love that. I mean, because this advice in general, this framework of these principles, yes, you can apply to business, but you can also apply to your personal life. Just as a human, you'll be a better human, right? If you're implementing these 7 steps. So that's so helpful. But now if we zero in on the entrepreneurial piece, on the social media piece, if someone is saying, okay, I'm going to implement this, Simon, I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to set aside a half an hour every single day regardless of the time period, half an hour, a full hour, whatever that is. How do you recommend prioritizing their time within that time period of, like, are there certain activities you found give a better return on social media, posting versus, messaging versus interacting versus, any specific mix you would recommend?
Yes, definitely. Well, you have to post every day. I think that's, you should post on your feed once a day and do at least 2 to 3 stories.
Okay.
That's huge. That's like non-negotiable. Now, engagement is very important too, right? There's a thing. If you engage before you post, your post will get much better engagement. And then after you post, hang out there for a couple minutes and engage back. Keep engaging. That is definitely help. If someone comments, reply back to every comment, right? You have to reply back to every single comment because people are taking the time to, and by the way, it's not free. I always say social media is not free because it's time. Time is not free. They could actually get money back, but you can never get time back. So they're taking time to engage, comment. You have to reply back and thank every comment. Now, I do that. Sometimes I may not reply back right away. Sometimes I reply back months later, but I always reply back to every comment because that's really important. Engagement is important because that's what social media it really is allowed to connect, right? So set a time, go out there and engage, meet new contacts, meet new people, but you always have to make sure you're posting every day.
Okay. So, and you found the most value if you interact for a short period of time, share your content, share some stories, and then interact again before you end that like work period.
Yeah. So if you have a 15 minutes, 5 minutes of engagement, 5 minutes of posting. All right. Now, if you have your post planned in advance, that's something I recommend. Time management. You can be a weekend, write out your post. So when you're posting, you're not thinking because it may take you more than 5 minutes, but just post that. And then afterwards, hang out there, keep engaging. So it could be 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes.
Sure. Absolutely. Great advice. And then the idea of that, maybe you're pre-planning your posts. Maybe you set aside some work time every weekend or every Friday or some day of the week where you're planning things out so you don't have that decision fatigue. You mentioned decision fatigue, and I think that's a very real thing.
Yeah, because it's like batching, right? Batching is a concept like if you're running errands, you don't go to get milk and then come back at home. And then go back to the post office, then go back home. Then go get your hair done, then come back home. You go out in one time and get everything done, right? It's like the same thing exercising. You don't go and work out for 5 minutes, come back, and then go back in 5 minutes and go back. And it's playing sports. You cannot go play, yoga for 5 minutes, go back and lift weights, and run 5 minutes on the treadmill, and then go back to yoga. You're going to pull a muscle and you get hurt, right? So it's the same thing here. If you want to be productive in content, go take a weekend. Weekends are great. Get up a little bit early in the weekends. Because I say weekends are great because normally you don't have the day-to-day stuff to do. So you're in a different environment, different atmosphere. You're feeling different. You're more creative. Go out there and plan out your post. Write down, what am I posting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? It doesn't mean if you have the luxury, go more detailed. If you're not detailed, at least write like an outline. So for my pep talks, right? I choose out on Saturdays. I plan it out. These are the 6 topics I want to talk about. And I put it in so I plan it out. So when I'm waking up at 5:25, I'm not thinking about what I'm talking. That was done like when the weekend already.
Okay. So you're planning for success. You're protecting the time you've set aside and you're making a habit out of it, even if it's just tiny slivers of time.
Absolutely. And one other tip is I planned out my topic for the pep talks. When I go to bed, I always look at the topic. So I strongly believe in the subconscious mind when it works when you sleep. But the topic was all planned out in the weekends. But like last night, I looked at it. Looking at it just takes like 10, 15 seconds. Oh, I'm going to talk about this. Okay, I put it down. And then when I wake up, I brush my teeth, I do my meditation, read a word and stuff. And then boom, I go right into the pep talk.
Yeah. Well, and I think, so Simon alluded to this. And so for the audience, I thought this was such a great idea when he said this, and it may have slipped through earlier. So I just want to highlight it. For those of you thinking, but I can't be consistent because I don't know what to talk about. Well, simply being a part of this summit and listening to all these speakers, you have like 1,000 things to talk about. You could just talk about everything you learned throughout the summit. You probably have enough content for months, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't need to talk, you don't need to give a course at it. If you're doing a live video, it could be 1 minute, 2 minutes. Hey, I learned this great thing. It changed my mind. And I'm going to take action on this. And if you feel this helpful, let me know. But I want you to try this out too. Let's see what happens. It could be a short 1-2 minute live video, right? Just start off there. This is saying every master was a disaster. You don't need to be good, but you do need to get started, right?
Take your notes. It's like the tiniest inspirational piece can inspire all kinds of content. Like you said, you have a little book of just motivational phrases and quotes, and you use that to inspire coaching topics.
Yeah, and you know what? Another thing to be consistent with, to help you consistent, is if you talk about the same thing all the time, that would definitely help, right? I think sometimes people say, well, my target audience, I want to target stay-at-home moms. I want to target guys who go to the gym a lot because my product does that. Or I also want to target people who they have 3 kids to homeschool. If you're targeting too many, it's hard to come up with so many things. If you want to stay consistent, find an area you like and just keep talking about the same thing over and over again. But what you do is you share that with different stories, right? So instead of me, I remember when I first started out, I exercise 7 days a week. I used to do 2-a-day workouts for 2 hours a day working out. And I was like, talking about health and fitness would be perfect for me. But I did that for 2 weeks. I was like, I hate talking about this stuff. Right? That sounds weird. I'm into health and fitness. I love working out, but I don't like to talk about it. I actually like to talk about motivational, positivity, talk about consistency. And I just start talking about the same thing over and over again. I mean, when you do that, you start thinking about different stories you can share. You go really deep. So you never actually run out of ideas. And the thing is, one last tip is don't be afraid to repeat yourself, right, over time, because people don't remember. When on social media, it's like they're driving on a freeway, highway, right? They see the billboard. They may have to see the billboard 30 times to remember it. Just because you did a post about it today, they're not going to probably remember a week from now. And if they did remember it, that means it was probably really, really good and should do it again anyway.
Right, because it was really, really good. When I love that, because number one, it makes it easier for you because you're revisiting the same topics over and over. So you're not having to come up with new ideas every day. But it's great for the audience too, because you become known for something. Like I know, Simon, you're known for being really motivational and inspirational. So there's people who they find Simon, right? And they're like, man, anytime I just need a little inspiration, I just go search Simon and I look him up and there's always something on his page that inspires me and leaves me feeling awesome, right? So he's become known for this. So the question is, what do you want to become known for? And what content could you share over and over and never get bored sharing it? Because it's just who you are, right? Just like it's who Simon is, to be this inspirational, motivational powerhouse, basically. So I love that advice. That's super helpful. So, tell us a little bit. You kind of mentioned, you alluded to these motivational quotes and sayings and phrases that you kind of go to for yourself, but you also share with others. I understand you have a free gift that's kind of related to some of these motivational sayings. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. So, like you said when you introduced me, I'm the host of MLM Nation podcast. We started that in 2015, so it's been going over 6.5 years. I've interviewed over 600 top income earners in the direct selling profession. And one of the questions I asked on the show is, what is one of your favorite quotes that motivates you? And I basically collected all these quotes and put into the book. It's like a little daily guide where every day, like for example, is today, you just look it up. There's a little quote there, right? And they actually have a link to the episode. So that will help you stay motivated, stay consistent. It's a free book. You can just go to the link below and you get a free download.
Oh, that's great. Well, and two, I mean, it gives people ideas of if they read a quote that speaks to them, they could share it on social media as
Absolutely.
well. They can start inspiring their audiences. And so again, it's basically an entire book of content ideas. You have all these amazing quotes that can inspire you, inspire your audience, and hopefully keep you motivated to use everything Simon taught you today and stay consistent on social media. So I love that. Thank you so much.
I want to add one more thing too, especially, I think it's a shift in mindset. Don't stop see yourself as a consumer, see yourself as a creator. Right, so, and I brought this up because, like, if you read this book as a consumer, oh wow, that's a very motivational book. I love it, Simon. But you're consuming. But if you have a mindset, I'm a creator, you start looking at this book differently. You start looking, oh, this is inspirational. Now, how can I create content based on what I just learned here?
Yeah.
And everything from the summit, right? Don't see yourself as a student, a consumer. See yourself as a creator. So, what are the nuggets you took from this event, and how can you turn that into content? Be a creator, not a consumer.
Absolutely. I mean, for any one of these, you could pop on social media and you could say, the other day I was listening to Simon Chan and he said something that just blew my mind. Let me tell you guys about it. And you immediately have something to talk about. Multiply that by all the speakers we have here. You have content for months on end, honestly. So I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing that gift with us, both from that. And we can look at it from the view of a consumer and the view of a creator. and kind of get double whammy out of it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Impactful Entrepreneur Show. If you found amazing value here, like, subscribe, and leave us a review to help other people find the high value content that we share, and find us on social media so we can continue the conversation. See you in the next episode.